We live in a period where quality of life is rapidly decreasing. Housing affordability doesn't exist, nobody can afford groceries, inflation is getting worse, crime rates have surged over the years, student debt, high mortgage rates, unaffordable healthcare, political polarization, garbage infrastructure, decline in mental health. You get the picture. Now, there's not much an average Joe like you can do much about all of these problems. There are many influencers and public figures who might promote a certain idea or make promises to fix everything that is negatively affecting us. But as we've seen often, their solutions rarely work and or they straight up lie to you. However, I'm here to offer a brand new solution. Something that has definitely never been thought of before. An exit! A path and lifestyle you could embrace in order to escape all the problems that are ruining your life. That path, my dear struggler, is Diogenesmaxxing. Because if you're living like shit and can't do anything to change that, you might as well embrace it. Now, what is Diogenesmaxxing, you ask? Well, we first have to make a small anecdote on where this philosophy started, which was around 80 million years ago in ancient Greece. Between 413 and 321 BC lived a man named Diogenes. He was born in a well-off family in the city of Sinope. However, his life took a drastic turn during his young adult years, following an incident involving the debasement of coinage. What is debasement of coinage, you ask? Do research. This event led to his exile and ultimately his rejection of society. He began to live a very ascetic life, living in a barrel and supporting himself through begging. He is known to be one of the founders of cynicism, a philosophy promoting the idea that humans are reasoning animals and should be living simply in accordance with nature, without letting the constraints of society affect that. Diogenes was the embodiment of this philosophy, not caring what people thought of him and making a rational distinction between being economically poor and feeling poor. During one famous encounter, one of the greatest conquerors in human history, the well-renowned North Macedonian Alexander the Great, met Diogenes. When Alexander asked him if he needed anything, Diogenes orafully told him to move and not stand in the way of his son. Alexander laughed and famously said to his courtiers later that if he weren't Alexander, he would be Diogenes. In comparison to today, that would be like being a homeless man in New York City and encountering the President of the United States himself, Donald J. Trump. Upon Trump asking you if you needed anything, you'd simply say, "Release the file." And later, he would make an address in Congress and say, "I've encountered a great and humble man on the street once, if not the greatest man I've ever known. I said to him, 'Mr. Homeless Man, do you need anything?' And he said to me, 'As long as I have you as my leader, Mr. President, I have everything I need.' Remarkable, truly remarkable. I tell you, if I were in Donald J. Trump, I would be that man." Or something like that. But the main point I brought up the encounter between Alexander and Diogenes was because Diogenes' indifference to such a figure represents reaching the end goal of this philosophy, only caring about simple things and never allowing pressures from the outside to affect one's mind. So, my dear struggler, upon seeing all of the issues that plague the modern world, why not give Diogenesmaxxing a chance? You can let go of the attachment to many material possessions. Time wouldn't be of concern to you. You could forget about all problems by allowing your mind to focus only on pursuing virtue through humbleness and courtesy. There is a problem though. Now, if you live in any of the countries I've listed on the screen right now, and especially the United States, there's a high chance that if you're a homeless individual striving to live like Diogenes, you might get stabbed at a random point or be fed with pizza which contains laxatives. That's why I'd suggest if you live in a crime-ridden city or town that you move somewhere else, ideally somewhere near nature or a white neighborhood. However, if you're located somewhere safe already, there's nothing stopping you from Diogenesmaxxing right now. You might even become popular amongst the locals due to your lifestyle, but don't forget that you're chasing virtue and simplicity, not fame or attention. Now, I know I haven't addressed the elephant in the room yet, but what if I have goals and ambitions I want to pursue? What if I want to have a wife and kids? I want to have a career, support my family, and own a house, not live in a barrel. Listen, I understand your frustration and that you wish to achieve many things and have someone you can love and support. And if you believe you can achieve all of those things, go ahead and try as hard as you can. Nobody is stopping you. But Diogenesmaxxing isn't for the simple-minded. It's a calling to those who don't fit in with the It's a calling to those who don't fit in with the world, and for those who have given up on it, but yet continue to cling onto life and its virtues. I'll own nothing and be happy, you say? Bring it on. End your suffering, struggler. Start Diogenesmaxxing.